Hey friends, welcome back to the Brainish channel. This video is going to be 5 reasons why you probably aren't picking up the RTX 30 series part 2. We already did part 1 over on the main UFD tech channel, but this is going to be a follow-up now that we have a bunch more information regarding the RTX 30 series. We have indications of its performance as well as having information what's coming out from AMD's side of things. So we're going to cover some of the same ground that we did in that video, but mostly these are just kind of new reasons that are coming out for why picking up the 30 series might not be the best fit for everyone. So number 1 is that you don't need it. The RTX 3070 is the lowest card that's been announced so far, which is 2080 Ti level performance. But if your monitor setup's only 1080p 60 to 144 hertz, you really just don't need an RTX 30 series. Even at $500, you're going to be better off just picking up a 20 or even a 10 series for a cheaper price. Getting a 1080 Ti, you can get a heckin' steal on one of those right now. An RTX 2070 will likely do you just fine because your setup just isn't ready for the overwhelming power that the RTX 30 series is bringing out. The RTX 3070, decent 4K card, more 1440p, 3080, great 4K card, and the RTX 3090 being a superb 4K card or an entry-level 8K card. Most people aren't going to be rocking those things for their gaming setups. I would more than likely argue that most people who are going to be doing a 4K gaming setup are going to be using TVs rather than gaming monitors, and consoles might be your best bet for that. So that's number 1. You simply just don't need it. Number 2, used is just a much better option right now with the announcement of the RTX 3070. We saw 2080 Ti's going for anywhere from $400 to $500, and that likely will only continue to go down once new cards are actually hitting the market and people can go without their cards. It's not so easy to sell your 2080 Ti right now when you actually have nothing to replace it with. So waiting until the launch of the new cards and then more used cards coming on the market will likely continue to drive prices further down, and just buying used cards makes a lot of sense when it just comes to getting value for your money. Even if the 30 series is surprisingly a good performer, you still probably are likely better off picking up a used card like the GTX 970 that we just did a review on. Hey, is it still worth it in 2020? Surprisingly, yeah. For like 70 to 80 bucks, it's a really, really great card. But then the third reason you likely won't be picking up is stock issues. This is continuing to be a report that's been coming out that either Nvidia is artificially or actually not going to have enough supply at launch, with the majority of cards coming sometime next year. You're not going to be able to get the cards that you want. We're actually seeing this being played out on eBay right now, where sellers are actually putting the RTX 3080 on sale pre-order for $1,200. And while the majority of people aren't picking them up, there are 22 people as of the time of recording who have spent $1,200 on an RTX 3080 pre-order, likely because they're afraid that they're not going to get stock. This one could turn out not to be true, but more than likely, from what we've seen with Nvidia's launches in the past, stock issues are likely going to be a thing at launch. And then number 4, you're not going to get a 30 series because it's just kind of too overwhelming to overhaul your complete PC in order to fit the new specifications that these things run at. And I'm not just talking about getting a new power supply for your RTX 3090, which is going to require 850 to 1000 watts of power if you're trying to hit the right efficiency curves, but you also likely, if we're just going by Steam hardware surveys, need to upgrade your CPU, your motherboard, and your RAM depending on how old your system is. A lot of people still on the first 4 generations of Intel's Core series. Putting a 3080 into your i7-4790K system likely is going to introduce a few bottlenecks. So not only do you have to replace that CPU, you're going to have to get a new motherboard, probably new RAM because you're on DDR3, and that's going to be a big thing. And then not to mention, outside of bottlenecking scenarios, physical bottlenecks of your case potentially not having the space available on the inside to fit these cards. 3070 might be fine, but the 3080 is a big chunker. Whether you're getting the Founders Edition or you're getting a third-party AIB, you might not necessarily be able to fit it into your current case. So the upgrade costs are more than just the $700 for the RTX 3080. You might be looking in the thousands of dollar region, or you might be looking to pick up an RTX 30 series, but then not actually gaining all of the benefit, which in most cases, it would just make more sense to wait until you have the ability to completely overhaul your system. But then number 5, one of the big things that we're hearing reports of from a lot of people out on the internet is that the VRAM amounts on these cards is just too low. Having 8 gigabytes on an RTX 3070 is not enough for where they want it to be. An RTX 3080 with only 10 gigabytes might not be enough for next generation 4K games. Now, this might change with requirements with deep learning super sampling as cards use AI to upscale, so they don't need as much RAM on the cards to actually load all of the textures. But as it stands now, 8 gigabytes on a 3070 versus 11 gigabytes on a 2080 Ti, even though they might be technically equivalent in rasterization performance, you might get worse performance out of your 3070 because it has less VRAM. And so there's this hope, and there's been the rumors from Lenovo and others that there might be a higher VRAM version of these cards, whether it's the 3070 Ti with 16 gigabytes or the 3080 Ti or 3080 Part 2 with 20 gigabytes. Waiting for those is something that a lot of people want. They're saying that there's this weird gap between 10 and 24 gigabytes of VRAM where a lot of people were expecting to have 16 for next generation gaming. So those are the 5 big reasons that I think are stopping people from picking up an RTX 30 series. You don't need it. Used is a much better option right now. Stock issues are likely going to come up. Even if you want one, you might have to overhaul your entire system, or the VRAM amounts that NVIDIA has given is too small for your taste. But I do have a couple of bonus ones. They're kind of holdovers from the previous video, but that is, a lot of people are still waiting for Big Navi. We have the announcement date, which is October 28th, and it kind of looks like AMD might be stringing us along, revealing some details along the way, with just yesterday them announcing the Navi cooler. So you can see that people just holding out. It's only another 2 months until November before you can actually see what potentially AMD might have in stock for us. So waiting until that is probably something a few people are still doing, as well as potentially waiting for the rumored either RTX 3060 or RTX 3060 Ti, depending on which reports you're waiting on. Having the lower end RTX 30 series seems to be something that most people might be looking into. Then number 2 of the bonus, DLSS 2.1 and RTX, they kind of still need a while to come out. While DLSS is an exciting technology, there's just not many games that support it. Regular rasterization's good, Doom benchmarks look really good, regular gaming performance is fine, but a lot of the enhancements that we're going to be seeing out of the RTX technology still need a couple years to play out where we get those games that actually support the technology that NVIDIA has baked into their cards. And whether or not that plays out still remains to be seen. Then, this is a bonus one for me, game bundles. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping / waiting that NVIDIA might partner with CD Projekt Red to get in a CYBERPUNK 2077 game bundle when you pick up an RTX 30 series cards. That just makes sense. They're promoting them quite heavily. November 19th right around the corner. Getting that game for free with your 3070. It's an enticing offer. Potentially waiting for that might be something that I would want, because currently the game that they're bundling with is Watch Dogs Legion, which some of you might be excited about, but personally I'm hoping for a CYBERPUNK 2077 game bundle. And then the last little bonus is that you're delusional about the 20 series not being a prototype with ray tracing and virtual link connectors and all of that just kind of falling through, and you're holding on. You think your 20 series is going to matter a lot more in the long term, and that we just haven't seen what it's capable of. It's going to age like fine wine, just you wait. 30 series isn't that good, is it? So those are the bonus ones, but I do also want to kind of give a call back to the original video that we did, because we were kind of wrong about a couple of points that we just didn't know right then. Number 1, the price increase. That didn't happen. As I was mentioning in that video, sure, the 3090 is $1,500, but NVIDIA officially saying that that's the Titan replacement. That's actually a $1,000 price drop on a Titan level card. The RTX 3080 coming in at the exact same price as the RTX 2080 and 2080 Super. There's no price increase, so that's not a reason not to pick one of these up. The number 2 thing that we were wrong about is that thankfully the 12-pin power connector is only happening on the Founders Edition card. So you don't need a special power supply to run a 30 series if you're going to pick up an Asus, an MSI, a Gigabyte, a Zotac, any of those other cards. You just need regular 8 pins. You just need maybe a higher end power supply, but a regular power supply at that. So you don't have to worry so much about the 12-pin. And then what it seems like we might have been wrong about, which we still need independent confirmation tomorrow of the performance benchmarks, is that PCI Express 4.0 doesn't matter as much as we expected. This is coming out of the Digital Foundry report that came out after the NVIDIA announcement, showcasing everything running on an Intel platform. And in fact, NVIDIA themselves saying that PCI Express 3.0 and 4.0 are only different in about a few percentage points in certain games, and that it's not a real concern of theirs. Obviously, we have to wait until independent benchmarks come out to completely verify that, but from all indications that have been out so far, Intel versus AMD doesn't seem to be an issue that's going to affect many 30 series users. But ultimately, though, as much as I can give you reasons why people aren't going to pick up the 30 series, this does seem like the generation that a lot of people have been waiting for. It's a great value from what we've seen, from what I've heard behind the scenes with benchmarks. Most people don't need the 3080 and 3090. It's too good for their setups. It's too expensive for how much they have on disposable income for an entertainment thing. But it does seem like you've been holding off since the 9 or 10 series to upgrade. This might be the generation to do it, with the 3080 coming in at really good price to performance, especially when you take into consideration the lost generation of the 20 series. So those are my reasons for why people might not be picking up the 30 series. Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? Do you have any additional reasons? Why don't you let us know down in the comments down below? And while you're down there, why don't you hit the like button? Why don't you get subscribed? Stay up to date on all of the things we do here at Brainus. I'm Brett. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Bye.